Do you know that silk doesn't come only from silkworms? That it can be vegan, then it can protect and repair the skin? I'm Johan Roland, Head of Category for Specialties. I am so delighted to welcome you on this masterclass about Silk-iCare. We all know silk as a luxurious material for tissue. We all have a memory of this incredible feeling of this light veil onto our skin. It would have been perfect if we can put silk into a cosmetic product. But unfortunately, silk has two limitations. The first one is a technical limitation. Silk is not soluble, so it's almost impossible to formulate. The second limitation is ethical. Silk comes from silkworms and they are boiled before extraction of the silk, and this is not acceptable. It exists another source of silk, among others, the spiders. And the silk from spider is more interesting. As spiders can't be farmed, Active Beauty has unlocked the access of this incredible material for cosmetic industry and created the vegan silk by biotechnology. At this stage, let's call it BioSilk. On a very large online survey, we tested the perception of consumers about the BioSilk, a vegan silk able to protect and repair the skin. On 6 countries, more than 1,200 women checking the INCI list in cosmetic products have answered. Thanks to this study, we have learned a lot of inputs from consumers. For example, with the name only BioSilk, it triggers a familiarity score at 57%. And when they know more about the benefits, 74% like it very much. And they find it very innovative at 72%. In another study focusing in France, more than 1,200 volunteers has been asked what are their main expectations for a cosmetic product. The second item they have selected at 76% is really to improve the quality of their skin. And half of this population has also selected the items that they want to a reduction of the pores and a reduction of the skin imperfections. It's time to discover Silk-iCare. For this masterclass, I have the honor to be joined by several experts in biotechnology, in skin science, to decrypt Silk-iCare, a vegan silk made by biotechnology with film-forming property leading to skin perfection. To move forward, I'm glad to welcome Joachim. He is expert in biotechnology and he will help us to decrypt Silk-iCare. Hi, Joachim.
Hello, Johan. Thank you very much for this great invitation.
You're welcome, Joachim. I said that Silk-iCare has film-forming property. Do you know where it comes from and how you have been able to decrypt what you have observed in nature?
Yes, of course, Johan. So first of all, it is very important to take into account that Silk-iCare is a protein derived by white biotechnology and coming from natural silk. In nature, various animals use silk for their applications. For instance, we have the spiders that use silk for their hunt. And we also have the silkworms that produce silk that is being used since many, many years and centuries in mankind to produce precious and luxurious fabrics. And it's very well known that these biosilk or silk materials from nature have very powerful and strong performances. So therefore, we wanted to take a look into these structures to use it for cosmetic applications. What many people don't know and which is very remarkable about natural silk proteins, is the fact that they are able to produce films and create films on certain interfaces. And this property is in particular of interest for our cosmetic applications, because film formers can be used in cosmetics for many, many different great performance claims. So where does all this performance come from? Where does this film forming behavior come from the natural silk? It's all based on the molecular structure. The molecular structure of natural silk is based on alternating and highly repetitive sequences, amino acid sequences, which bring a very crystalline and also amorphous regions into the protein. And this alternating and repetitive character brings in the end a very high strength, a very good elasticity, and it also enables the proteins to form a very good film. So using biotechnology, we were able to analyze the structure of the silk protein and mimic the structure for our Silk-iCare ingredient. And that makes it the perfect choice for film forming applications in skincare.
Thanks, Joachim. Now I'm convinced that the structure of Silk-iCare has been designed to create a film. Honestly, it seems to be deep science. But this film, can we touch it? Can we have it into our fingers?
So our team of experts was able to craft a film made out of our Silk-iCare. It was done in a specific experimental procedure, and we can really find a macroscopic film made of the silk. It's really interesting to see that this film is very dense, homogeneous, light and breathable, and nearly invisible. That comes even more clear when you apply Silk-iCare onto the skin and you don't have any residues there, and it's really a light and breathable film that brings a pearlescent finish in the end to your skin. If you take a look under the microscope, you will see as well the film forming behavior of Silk-iCare having a very homogeneous, dense network, which brings all the performances in the end of this raw material.
Okay, Joachim, this is very clear. Can you explain how you can transform this high level of science into a cosmetic ingredient?
That's a very critical question, but a very good one though. So the key word that we have to talk about now is white biotechnology. White biotechnology, as of the definition, is a technology using microorganisms in different fermentation processes to produce materials, in our case a protein, in very large scale. The advantage of biotechnology itself is that it's a very sustainable process. It is environmentally friendly, in particular if you would compare it, for example, to synthetic chemistry approaches, where you have a lot of wastewater or negative environmental impacts. So this is really a main advantage of our technology, that we are environmentally friendly. In addition, our process is totally vegan, which makes it the perfect choice for any vegan skincare product line. Another main advantage of biotechnology is the high scalability of this technology. So we are really able now to produce Silk-iCare in large volumes with a consistent high quality. That's also something very special, in particular for the natural silks. You won't find this high quality because they have impurities, and yes, this is not wished in any product. Silk-iCare in particular is a hydrogel consisting of the protein and water, and it's very robust, it's non-occlusive, non-sticky, and it has one very interesting characteristic. It's called thixotropic. That means that once you apply it on your skin, it's getting more liquid and you have a smoother film on your skin.
Wow, this is impressive. I'm so proud to have this ingredient available for the cosmetic market. I can't wait to jump into the next step of this masterclass. So Joachim, you said that Silk-iCare creates a film on the surface of the skin. I am wondering if this film can have some advantage on the skin. Is it possible that this thin invisible layer can protect against external stress?
That's a very crucial question, Johan. At Active Beauty, we are well known that we always prove our ingredients on a very high level on their performance. So we did also for Silk-iCare. The first thing that came to our mind is based on the film forming activity. Sure, we have all these structural motifs that bring us the efficacy of natural silk into our ingredient, and so we really wanted to prove that this brings also a performance for cosmetic applications. So we started with an evaluation on the anti-pollution efficacy. This is a very important test because anti-pollution is very well known to be very important in urban areas in particular. But not only in cities. You find, for example, particulate matter very abundant all over the world. And it's well known to be a key role, or to play a key role in aging processes and also in irritating the skin. So you really want to protect your skin from these pollutive particles, particulate matter, and therefore we evaluated the efficacy. What did we do? In an in vivo trial with many volunteers, we applied Silk-iCare onto the skin, and then afterwards we used carbon particles, these are model particles for particulate matter, to detect the ability to remove these particles once we have applied the Silk-iCare before. So that means when we wash in this case it was tested on the forearms, when we wash them with water only, we could detect a removal of carbon particles which was 50% better than for the placebo formulation. When we used rubbing on our hands, so this would be the washing routine in a daily life, it was even increased to over 90% compared to placebo, which resulted in an overall removal of pollution of over 96%. So this is nearly a full protection against these external aggressions, external factors. And that shows once again this kind of very amazing film-forming property of Silk-iCare.
Thank you, Joachim. This is very impressive. Now I'm completely convinced that Silk-iCare is a very good ingredient for cosmetic industry.
You're welcome, Johan.
As we have seen, biotechnology allows us to create nature-inspired and unique ingredients. Now, I'm pleased to welcome Marie. Marie is skin science expert in our Center of Excellence. Hello, Marie.
Hello, Johan. I'm very pleased to join this masterclass because it's been very fascinating to perform the biological evaluation of Silk-iCare.
That's great.
Yes.
I heard that you are used to evaluate active ingredients and to perform biological activity. In the case of Silk-iCare, we have a functional ingredient with physical property. I'm wondering if you are really comfortable with the evaluation of such a functional ingredient.
Of course, Johan, because we like challenges and even more with the new orientation of Givaudan Active Beauty, we are evaluating more and more functional ingredients. That's why during the biological evaluation, we decided to push the boundaries of functional evaluation by evaluating under different angles the biological properties of Silk-iCare for a skincare application.
I like the idea of interconnection of different layers onto the skin. Can you tell us more about the study we can perform to demonstrate the activity of a functional ingredient?
Yes, Johan, for example, we performed the first clinical study on 36 volunteers who presented skin rawness. And we expected that thanks to the film-forming property of Silk-iCare, we could observe a smoothing effect on their skin and even more a limitation of the pore size, for example. And indeed, by performing this clinical study, we observed an immediate effect that was amazing because in 15 minutes, we were able to show a reduction of the pore intensity by 7 times less compared to a placebo application in only 15 minutes. That is clearly an immediate effect. And to tell you more about the pore intensity, translates the combination between the pore area and the deepness, so globally the pore volume. And interestingly, this effect was maintained after 1 hour because we observed a significant reduction of total pore area by 3.5% compared to placebo. And we also performed a self-assessment evaluation because finally the volunteers' perception is one of the most important proof of efficacy of an ingredient. And indeed, we were able to evidence that 79% of volunteers found their skin more comfortable and 89% of them found their skin softer.
Well, I'm impressed. You have been able, on a clinical study, to demonstrate an immediate effect in 15 minutes. This is incredible.
Yes.
Now, can you tell me more about the mode of action?
Yes, during the development of the product and the demonstration of efficacy, we discover more and more activity for Silk-iCare, such as anti-inflammatory activity or imperfection reduction. So first, we wanted to check if Silk-iCare could have some interaction with key markers of wound healing or soothing effects, and the answer is yes, because indeed we evidenced a specific interaction between Silk-iCare and galectin-3. That is a receptor that has an essential role in inflammatory response and cell differentiation. But we also evidence a specific interaction between Silk-iCare and CD44 and myelin, that are 2 other receptors involved in the cell migration capacities. That could lead finally to a wound healing process for the skin.
Wow, these interactions between Silk-iCare and lectins is very new science.
Yes.
Do you think it can lead to wound healing property?
Yes, indeed. We wanted to verify this hypothesis, and for that we modelized a human skin explant of skin lesion. And on this model, by applying Silk-iCare, we showed that we were able to induce the closure of wounds on the skin by plus 52% compared to the placebo, and this after only 5 days of application. And we then went further in a context of exposome to follow the result presented by Joachim just before. And we evident that the application of Silk-iCare on skin explants that were previously cut and then exposed to UV and heavy metals, we were able to counteract the deleterious effect of pollution with Silk-iCare and to promote the wound closure by plus 38% versus placebo. So Johan, finally, these results are the confirmation that Silk-iCare, thanks to its physical property at the skin surface, is able to bring a deeper effect in the skin thanks to the skin layers interconnections.
Thank you, Marie, for your skin science expertise and these incredible results.
With pleasure, Johan.
Now, let's dive into the consumer perception. Silk-iCare has been evaluated by more than 100 women in France in a primer care. What is impressive is to know that from day one, 91% of the volunteers like very well the product. At day 2, they already perceive the benefits of the product on their skin complexion. And it's a continuous improvement. During 10 days, we can see the continuous improvement, and 65% of the volunteers perceived a better aspect on their skin. Now we know that Silk-iCare is a great functional ingredient, as it brings a lot of benefits on the skin with an immediate gratification. Before concluding, let me share the S3D concept that features Silk-iCare, offering a vanishing texture, a rapid penetration and extra soft finish. To conclude this masterclass, Silk-iCare is a very good skin perfector thanks to its film-forming property. As an invisible bandage, the efficacy of Silk-iCare is immediate, anti-pollution and anti-inflammatory elements. Now, you know how to take care of your skin with a veil of softness. Be ready!